Hey, what's up, guys? It's me, Raul. Just wanted to share some thoughts and share some advice about do's and don'ts as far as living on your own, being of low income, paying rent, and living in the hood, living in the ghetto community. And I want to start by saying when I was living at my mom's house, and I never knew what it meant to live on my own and live independently. I use that term loosely because in more ways than not, there is no such thing as independence. You have to get through people. You have to get through life. You have to get through life circumstances, and you have to get through some hard times. So independence is a subjective terminology. Okay, so I was living with my parents, and I had my parents. I live with my mom, and I live with my stepdad in Trenton. And so my stepfather had his grandson come stay with us for a little while. He was having some trouble. It didn't work out for him while he was with us, and he had decided to go back to live with his mom. Right before he made that decision, my mom requested that I watch over him, that I show him around the city, and that I help accommodate him around the city and everything else, and make sure that he's good. So she gave me a job. She gave me a responsibility, and I was proud. I was probably one of the greatest things that my mom thought about doing. One of the best opportunities that my mom ever gave me. And he changed his mind. So he changed his mind. He left. His mom came to pick him up. He left. His mom came to pick him up from Connecticut. And after he left, not long after, not long after he left, my mom said that it was time for me to get out. And she had already set up a place for me to move out to. I didn't want to do that, and I'm so glad that I didn't do it. I'm so glad that I didn't do it because what I would learn in the future, helped me understood my parents' intentions, real intentions, and real perspective about me and my worth within the household. My stepdad advised my mother that it wasn't a good idea for me to get out because he knew, like how I felt and knew, I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready to get out there on my own. I wasn't ready to live a life on my own. I wasn't prepared. I wasn't trained. I wasn't, I wasn't aware of the do's and the don'ts or anything like that. So this is the type of thing that a lot of people around the world, they go through. They have a broken down household, and the children are left to fend for themselves and figure things out on their own. And even though, all of that to say this, I moved. I had a friend. I had a acquaintance that was getting ready to move out, and I moved in. I took his spot, so the timing was perfect. I had like three friends, and thank God one of my friends was getting ready to move out right when my mom wanted me to get out the house. And so around the time that I was moving out was also around the time that my dad came to visit. He came to Trenton to visit. And now that I'm thinking, man, now that I'm thinking about this, I see that there was more to this, to what my mom intended and what she was trying to do, and what my father might have been trying to do during my transition out of the my parents' house. So I moved out. I was depressed for a while. I was very depressed, and it was a heartbreaking time for me because I never thought that my life would end up in the direction that it was going. Even though there were good things happening, I was overwhelmed. I was definitely overwhelmed. But eventually, I adjusted. A lot of times I find myself lazy. I find myself not being able to, do stuff that normally other people do and find it easy to do. You know, and not only did I have to struggle with my own inadequacies, my own liabilities and inconsistencies, I had to deal with the other people that were living in the house. An old grandmother, a grandmother in her 80s or 90s. I think she was in her 70s or 80s. I can't remember. Who did not speak English. She was Polish woman, did not speak much English, and very controlling, very, very controlling person. And she had, of what it appears like to me, she had no life whatsoever. Everything, it seemed like her focus while she was at the house downstairs, and I was upstairs, the focus was on the tenants. So anything that we did, anything that we did, or whatever we did, whenever we was there, whatever she didn't like, or if she just was upset for no reason, felt like picking on somebody, we were the targets. Except for the older guy that lived upstairs, because he had been there for a while, so he was already what I'm saying, like he was already trusted. Eventually he moved out. Eventually he moved out. And I dealt with a lot, and I wasn't making a lot of money. I wasn't making a lot of money at the time, and I didn't know how to budget properly. I didn't know how to. I didn't know. I just didn't know a lot of things. I didn't know a lot of things. So it's important that if you're still living in your parents' house, or that you find out, all the term rules and the terms, all the wisdom that you need to deal and engage and interact with other people uh, away from your family. And you need to know how to manage your money, and you need to know uh, you have to have your own. You have to establish your own discipline. You got to be able to keep up with your own stuff and stuff like that. So the reason why I'm sharing all this, I'm saying all that to say this. The reason why I'm saying all this is because in this day, in this technological age of information, you have no privacy. You have very little privacy, especially when you're stepping into somebody's territory. And when you're living in Trenton, you're not gonna run into a lot of honest people. And even there's even decent people or good people, right? Honorable people, or people who appear to be honorable, and they may not be fully honest with you. Even though you're honest with them, I'm a little bit, too transparent to a fault. I'm transparent, or I'm too transparent sometimes. I really have no. I really don't want to sugarcoat anything. I'm a spoken word artist. I consider myself a wordsmith, so I know how to explain myself. I know how to explain my good times. I know how to explain everything. So one thing that I don't shy away from is the truth. I own it to the best of my ability. Some things are hard to explain, so I kind of like minimize certain things, or try to metaphorically reference certain things. But some things you could explain it clearly. People are not going to comprehend what it is that you're saying. But we living in a technological age, right? And you got Wi-Fi's, you got cell phones, you got cameras, and that's not a bad. That's initially it's not a bad thing, especially when you, as a landlord, you're meeting strangers, you're meeting people that you never met before, and you're providing them a service, you're providing them a place to live. And some people are just not going to be honest with you, and they're going to hold that against you. They have various ways to try to hold that against you, and you have to be on your toes. You have to take initiative when things don't appear to be right. You have to learn to defend yourself. And I'm not talking about violence. I'm just talking about being able to defend yourself in terms of being a proper effective communication. And some people don't know how to communicate their difficulties. Some people don't know how to communicate how they feel about you. And you have to take the initiative to communicate to them every as much as you can, so that they may be able to improve their communication, right, towards you, and come to a greater understanding. But yeah, and it's important. It's important that when you step up in any territory, that there is a Wi-Fi and there are cameras, right? And if the second a tenant or the landlord don't like you, or the second misfortune happens, like losing your job, being a profile by the police, dealing with trauma, dealing with trauma, dealing with our own psychological and emotional glitches, trying to discipline yourself. All these things add on, all these things together make life very hard, very discouraging. And it's not that, for me, it's not that I don't want to, it's not that I want to give up. I don't want to give up. I'm going to live this life to the fullest, to the best that I can. And I'm going to speak it into existence that I will succeed and everything's going to be fine. And anybody that has me in their best interest, I will, I will reward. I will do everything in my power to reward that interest. But it makes life hard. It makes life hard. And I can only imagine what other people are going through that don't know the various facets of just living on your own, constantly living on your own. A lot of you who are living with your parents, a lot of you who are living with your parents, do not be complacent. Do not be complacent. If you want to accomplish something in life, roll up your sleeves and work hard, and stop being complacent, and stop blaming other people for your misfortune. You know what I'm saying? I used to blame my parents all the time, or a lot of, pretty much all the time. Figuratively speaking, but yes, all the time I blame my parents for everything. But then it came a point in my life where I clearly realized that blame who you blame, a lot of times you're giving them the power over your life. You're giving them the last say so as to how far you can go in life. And you want to take control. You want to take control over your life. You want to take control over your life. And people are going to do the best that they can. People are going to do, a lot of times people are only so how a person treats you is a reflection of how they feel about themselves. And so if a person doesn't feel good about themselves, if a person is stressed, if a person feels like they're inadequate, or they can't do something, or they have a certain limitation, maybe a limiting beliefs, limiting perspectives about themselves and about life, you have to be careful not to judge them for having it, but also establishing your own perspective, establishing your own truth, establishing your own motive and ambition and drive in life. And I just want to say, I hope all of you are doing good, and you are learning and you are trusting the process. And if you're not, you gotta understand, if you're not careful, uh, you can get yourself in some trouble that you initially did not intend to get yourself into. You know, so there is a lot that I'm not saying, and I'm probably not gonna say it, but just know when you're speaking to one person, you're speaking to have it in your mind that when you speak to one person, you're speaking to everybody. And you're always being watched and you're always being heard, whether it's through your phone, whether it's through your computer, whether it's through your TV, whether it's through the cameras. You're always being watched and you're always being heard, especially when you're in somebody else's territory. And if something goes bad, they can use all of that against you. If you're paying rent and you're living with roommates and you notice that none of them got a job, you know, you have to think about that. You have to think about that. You don't want nobody trying to take advantage of you, you know? You know. So, anyway, I just wanted to vent a little bit. I wanted to vent a little bit and share some thoughts. I'm in the process of getting a job right now. Hopefully everything will work out. And I'll keep you guys up to date. Thank you. Have a great day. And persevere. Persevere through it all. You can make it. I believe in you. Peace.